Right, good morning, everyone. Really pleased you've so many of you here this morning after the treasure trail. I was slightly worried that some people might not make it back, but everyone did, so that's great. So, a really warm welcome to day 2 of the UCISA Support Services Conference. We had a fantastic day yesterday, and we have an amazing day organised for today. We have some great guest speakers. We have a panel session talking about the future of technology and a bit of an open floor discussion on that. We've got an opportunity for some parallel sessions later on, so it's your choice of where you go just before lunch. So I won't talk too much, but I would like you to put your hands together for a really warm welcome for our guest speaker this morning. It's Sami Kaleo from Happy Signals.
Thank you for the support, my dear team, yesterday. Happy to be here. So my name is Sami Kallio. I'm the CEO and founder of Happy Signals, and I will be speaking today about customer-led service desk strategy and why that is important, and then how to really start to do things in a different way. So as a company, we do help enterprises and organizations to really change the kind of cost reduction strategy to be more about what you deliver to the staff of your organization. So these are the topics, and in the end I will also talk about how to start very, very shortly. I have to start with this fact. I do hate SLAs, and you will hear that through my speech. And why I hate them is because they are just for trying to measure one layer of service, so the service desk first layer, and it's impossible to measure that in a way that you would get happy end users. What we try to do and what we help enterprises to do is to focus on the end users, so your students and your staff. Today I will work and use word employee. Please forgive me, I've used that too much. I'm not going to use staff or students so often, but you will understand that that's the same thing. So I hate them because they optimize one layer of service desk. And I will tell you some examples of that later on. But my dear most hated measurement in service desk is how many tickets an employee can resolve per hour or day. Because what you really think about, if you really think about it, you are measuring how fast the agency is getting rid of their customers. And that doesn't make them motivated. All right, one example, just to back my hate to SLAs, that there are also customers hating them. Dean Underwood is one of our customers. 2 years back, they started to use our product, and 2 years back he was on our stand in SITS presenting their data to customers. And interestingly, when he was doing that, he was showing feedback that was really good and seeing that the SLA was not met, but the end user was really happy. On the other hand, he was clicking open those feedback that people were really angry and seeing that SLAs were met. He said to me that I will take a 10-minute break. He went back outside and called his provider and asked them to stop playing these SLA games. So he was one of the customers that have made the decision to not measure at all the traditional SLAs. Or they might measure it somewhere in the ITSM systems, but the only thing they focus is the end user experience. And that's maybe not the way how to start things. You have to first measure, you have to start to understand the employee experience in more details. But then when you do that, then you can really focus on the value what you are bringing to the rest of the organization, not only how the IT works, but what is the value. Typically, what I see when we meet organizations and we discuss about how they work and how they feel about end users and do they really work with them and do they understand their needs, something like this is very often described to me, that there is a business units where the employees are very, very long lines to get to the understanding of end users. So what we recommend to do is change it like this. So the end users should be in the middle of everything for all those players in this picture. So not that it's only service desk thing, it is for CIO, it is for business units and everybody. And if you have the situation like this, transparently available for everybody, it is much more possible to bring trust so that your business units, your clients will be trusting you. You could trust your vendors because you are doing and seeing everything openly all the time. And then when you do that, you are so much easier to focus on the things that should be developed. And then you will get results. So if you think about employee experience and measuring it, the survey part is the easy part. The cultural change, what happens after that, if you do it right and if you do it together, that's the big thing that happens. So if you are doing surveys and it's only one person in the organization that is using those, think again, because that's not going to change anything. To be transparent is the key thing when you are thinking about how to change your organization to be more employee-centric. I forgot to say in the beginning that why I'm speaking about this and what I'm going to do. We have now about 1.5 million feedbacks in our benchmark. So I will today show a lot of data from that what we have learned and what you can really use from that. There are learnings like what employees hate and what they love and all that. So that's why I will start this with one slide of explaining how we collect the data. I'm not going to do a product demo today, but so that you understand how we have collected that 1.5 million feedback. And it is exactly the same way that we have done with all organizations. So we changed the way how ITS tools are asking for feedback. So that kind of email will go to the end users. They will just click a number there to rate the service. And this is done when the ticket is resolved, not when it's closed. So if you want to get good response rates, don't send it after 3 days when the ticket is closed. Send it immediately when the ticket is resolved. When the employee clicks the number, we are asking a couple of additional questions. Depending on the score, if it was 9 or 10, we are asking what we do well, 7, 8, what could be done better, and under 7, what must be changed. But the crucial part here is this question. So estimate the work time you lost. So now it's not about how efficient the IT was inside IT, how much time did you use for that incident or request. It is the perception of the end user, how much time did they lose. The average in our benchmark in incidents is now 2 hours 40 minutes. It was still a year ago, 3 hours 30 minutes. So it has been going a bit down. Here in the UK, still 3 hours 30 minutes about on average. But of course, you have to remember this is now the perception of the lost work time. But one interesting thing is that we believe that this is one of the reasons why we are getting quite high response rates, because employees are really pleased to hear from IT that now you are interested in their time. So they are more willing to give you this information and even answer the whole survey. Because if you only ask about your own processes, did it go well and did you did it right, they feel that you are not really interested about their feelings and their experience. And now, to motivate you, why it is important to really focus to end users. These are benchmark numbers, so those are the scores of all our clients. So the range where our client scores are ranging are from 40 to 75, 75 being really good. We are using the same kind of mathematics here that Net Promoter Score is using, so you know the would you recommend as from the consumer world. We are using the same kind of calculation. We are not asking would you recommend because that wouldn't work inside organizations. But that 75 means that 85% of people rated the service with 9 and 10. Only 10% is rated it less than 7. And I have been using these metrics also for consumer world very heavily before founding this company. 40 in consumer world is a high score. So the reputation of IT support services is bad, we all know that, but the reality is in fact really good. That 75 is level of Apple and all the kind of really, really good customer service brands. So that scores, we should be proud of what we deliver to the end users in service management. But simultaneously, if you are level 40, end users are estimating to be losing about 6 to 7.5 hours per each incident ticket. On the other hand, if you are level 75, some might go even over 80 sometimes, you will end up in a situation that your end users are losing 1 or 2 hours per each incident ticket. So if you think about optimizing services, I think it would be much more important to optimize this lost time than optimize how many minutes you use in IT, because there is so much more to gain from end user side. And now when thinking about this time here, we have to remember that, okay, it is the perception. So it's not the fact. And also one thing is that that time from end user perspective starts whenever they realize that they have a problem until it is resolved. So they might use even many hours before contacting you guys to even giving you a possibility to help them because they try to solve things on their own. So that cost there, that time is really a cost of the whole incident. It's not the cost of cooperation with service desk. It is the cost of the incident on the customer side. This is just one example that if you would have 10,000 end users or 80,000 tickets and you save only 15 minutes per ticket, that's already annually 1 million saving. And if you try to optimize that money from your IT cost, you cannot do that. So that's kind of just putting, of course, everybody can ask me that what they do with this 15 minutes. Do they drink more coffee or whatever? But it's just the kind of thinking that now when you have these numbers, because I hate that we have to have been in the cost-cutting industry all the time. So every year you're asked to cut cost, cut cost, cut cost. But by this slide, you might be able to help your CFOs and others to understand that please don't cut cost anymore. Help us to save money from that time. So even investing more to service desk would make the whole organization work maybe more efficiently. That has some organizations have been able to do this. I cannot promise that your CFO will give you more money, but that's at least something that you can prove that please don't make us any more save cost. Then about the transparency. This is a screenshot about our product. I will tell one example about how one of our customers, Cargotec, use these services. So this is the analytics. I will not explain it well now because you can come to our stand later on. But the idea is that you have here per service. So you have hundreds of feedbacks per certain services. And one of our customers, Cargotec, said to me after using our product for 1 month that the biggest benefit they get during that time was that the attitude of service owners changed. Because they said that they had a couple of service desk owners that were always saying that service desk is crap. It doesn't work. But when they saw these results openly, they were able to see that, okay, on average, services are doing really well, but it's my service. And in fact, in that case, it was the vendor, second-level vendor, that was causing the problem. So they had a common opinion now that we have a problem that we have to solve together. So they went through with the providers and service desks how the process should work, and they made the correlations for that. The same thing goes very often with the certain units of your organization, that some of them might be really, really thinking that IT support service is bad, but when they see results here, they cannot deny. So if you have enough feedback that you can trust, then everybody will have the common opinion. You can defend your services, or on the other hand, you will understand what are the areas that you really have to do better. If there are some organizational units that you don't understand really well, or you don't understand the tooling, you will understand what you have to do to train your agents or something. For IT, again, another way to think about the transparency. Have info screens up and running, showing that all the time you are following up the end user experience, because it is a cultural change, as I said. If you don't change the whole culture in your IT to be more end user focused, there is only those few people that try to push things from this side, and it will take time. It's a good start, but what we have seen is that the open and more transparent you are, the faster you are getting results, because then there are more people behind the same targets. First in Trains, for example, is having that kind of screen just next to their coffee machine in the IT. Every time I have been there, there has been like 2 guys, 3 guys drinking coffee next to the screen and looking the feedback that are coming there continuously. So to really understand the situation exactly now. And also it's as I said earlier, IT support is just one part of the support services. So the rest of the IT is typically quite hard to motivate behind the support services. But by doing something like that, it starts to be everybody's thing. I already said that now UK is having happiness score in level 65 and losing a bit more than 3.5 hours per each incident ticket. And as you can see from this global benchmark, it has been quite interesting to notice that, let's say, all the Western European countries are under our benchmark, and all the Eastern European countries, including Finland, where I'm from, are over the benchmark. And this is about culture. I think today, of course, you all are from UK, so that's, and I have to say here in UK it's hard to get feedback compared to almost any other culture we work with. But still I would say that 25% is something that we can promise to companies, organizations, that 25% of people would be answering the survey. But I have heard here percentage like 2% and something, and then there is no trust from anybody. So I think that's something that has to be fix first to have enough feedback to be really able to change the culture to work with that. Service desk. So this is now IT incidents. And I think there is about 600,000 feedbacks in this benchmark. So every time we ask employees to also say what is the reason why they were happy. So these are the happy scores. So if I rated the service with 9 or 10, speed of service, 75% was the reason that they did get the service fast. But I will point out these two, agent, agent, agent. Their skill, their attitude. That is needed to get people happy. And now, again, speed of service here doesn't mean how fast you answer the first email. It is the speed of service from the moment they realize they have a problem until they know that it's resolved. That's the only thing that matters for end users as a speed. It doesn't help if you mail them every second hour and ask them something additional. They hate that, and you can see it from here. I had to explain my case several times, 25%. And one thing I have sometimes done in this kind of presentation is that one weird thing is that if your customers, your employees are asking that you should have a status follow-up page on your portal, and that is their biggest need, your service levels, your customers are really unhappy. Because we know that in cases where customers are really, really happy with the services, nobody wants to know about the status follow-up. It is something that it's just showing that you have a problem if people want to follow it up. They would have to know that in a different way. But here you can see also that now attitude in the negative part, only 6%. It was 50% in the positive. So it's not typically, I'm happy to say it's not typically the attitude of the agent that is causing unhappiness to the whole service. Skills is much bigger, but that one, 41% who rated the service less than 7 say that the reason for that was that my tickets was not even solved. And that is 600,000 feedback. So that's concerning, but maybe when we have digged deeper and we found out that many of these are cases where the end users are saying that they did get help from somebody before you did help them. So their colleague helped them or something. So it's not that bad that they wouldn't get any help. But some cases also people rate this and say ticket was not solved if it happens again and again and again, and they know that this was just a certain fix that will be again in a month on the table. Then about service desk agents. I love this graph by Jeff Ramberg from MetricNet, and it's a bit complicated maybe, but what it says is that the agent job satisfaction correlates quite directly with the customer satisfaction, meaning that the happier your agents are at work, if they are 10% more happy, your end customers will be about 8% happy. So you all know Virgin's Branson saying that my task is take care of my employees, they will take care of customers. And this proves that that is the case also in service management. How and what is the thing that we can help and what we recommend you to do even with other products is that service desk agents are doing really terrible work. I would never be able to work in there, taking phone calls, whatever IT thinks somebody is angry, and you have to be able to help them. And if you still measure them by how many tickets they are resolving per hour, so how fast they are getting rid of their customers, it's not motivating. But what is motivating is that how I made other people feel. And typically, when you're measuring, you focus many times too much for the negative things. But the positive things are even more valuable. Because now 75% of all feedback we gather is positive. So what we do here is we feed that positive feedback back to the agents, sometimes even less than 5 minutes after they resolve the ticket, because the email went to the employee, they rated the service, is polite guy, good service, and that will be on the screen in the ITSM tool immediately. So I get several feedbacks per day about how I made other people feel. It's kind of gamifying their work, because now they are thinking about it. One agent told me that he's thinking when he's resolving a ticket, he kind of feels the same that when he's posting to Facebook. I was like, please explain, I don't understand what you're now talking about. And he said, the point is that he has started to wait when he knew that I did very well, that what will the employee say to me? And that is motivating them. And of course, when it happens they get the low scores, it is an opportunity to learn. And that's not a bad thing. So again, not only for some people in service management, but let the people learn. And that has been many times enough only this functionality that the scores have been going up. Then about IT as a tool vendor. So if you are selecting a new tool or you are working together with them, there are a couple of things that I would recommend you to focus on in the cooperation. First, the agents work, of course. So as you saw from the motivating part, making agents' life easier with the tool, that is really important. So how it works is important. Preventing ticket, of course, if you get rid of the root causes, you will not only save the time in IT, you will save also that 3 hours from the end user side. So if the tooling will help you in that one, it's really good. But one thing that is not so clear maybe without explanation is this one. So we have also measured in our benchmark what is the value of cost of reassigning ticket to a new team. And what we have learned from that is that every time ticket is assigned, you on average lose 10 points in happiness. But you also add 1 hour to the lost productivity. So if your tooling, if your project, if your portal can help to get the ticket directly to the expert who can resolve the ticket faster, there is a proof of that business case. So automation, portals, that's the reason why you should be doing that. So not only the efficiency of IT, but that it is more efficient for the end users as well. Then more efficient channels for employees, and I will take the next slide to explain this. If I would have asked you that what you think is portals driving happier end users, I think many of you would be thinking that that's the case. In a way, yes, but according to our benchmark, not. So on average, portal is the most hated channel. But now we also have to think about the expectation level, because these people, when they are using your portal, they are comparing that to the portals they are using in their civil life. And one comfort for that is that it's not about what it looks like. Think about the language you use there. We started a company by doing portal designs for 10 companies. So we interviewed 500 people to find out how it really should be working. We are not anymore doing that at all. But what we learned is that the terminology is the key. So if you are using either language, requests and incidents, think again. Your end users are not there to learn the language we use here. You have to use their own language and really check every field in the forms you are having that you are not using the terms that you have in the system. You have to use the terms that they understand. And that's a key. Of course, it's good if it looks good, but terminology is the thing how you can get your end users more happy. And now when you're looking at these statistics, I would say that quite surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, email and phone are still the most used channels in our benchmark. Email losing 3.5 hours per each incident ticket, phone 2 hours, 12. But now when you're comparing these channels to each other, remember that email and portal are typically options. Because if you have to send more details and all that, you can only do it in portal or email. You cannot send screenshots by phone or chat. Chat has been quite interesting to follow up because about 8 months, 9 months ago, this was still in a level of 68. But now we don't yet separate normal chat and chatbots. But what we think what has happened is that when chatbots are not maybe yet working very well in most cases, that has been taking the chat down. So chat was the second best channel before that. But I think we have to later on change this in a way that there is chat and chatbot differently. Then one thing I also recommend to do is not to think about your end users as one way, or that you would only have one script how to work, because the end users are so different. Doing those 500 interviews, I had psychologists doing the part of those with me, and we did that because we wanted to really understand what makes people love the services and what makes them to hate them, and we profiled them. So these are the employee profiles that came up from that work. And how we do this is that first time you answer the survey, we are asking 2 very simple questions from end users to categorize them. The first one is that how technical you feel you are. I'm helping others, or I'm not good with IT. The other question is that when I have an IT problem, so not an incident problem, what do you do? I try to solve it myself, or I contact somebody to help me. So the technical profiles here are the doer and prioritizer. So untechnical, supported, and trier. Doer is the person who is technical and tries to solve things on their own. Heavily the biggest profile and getting bigger all the time. And if I would think about your students, I think it is even much more than 55% of all end users in your student base, because those are so native with computers. Doer will start a phone call saying that, asking from the agent, do you know anything about SharePoint? They will not even explain it before they know that they are talking to an expert. The opposite of that is my mother, supported, who will start the phone call, sorry, I'm so stupid with IT, please just fix it. So they don't want to learn. The most complicated profile, in fact, is the trier. If they email, they will use technical terms. They don't understand them, but they will use them. And they hate to call you because the agent might understand that I don't understand. So they email you or use the portal because then they can go to their colleague or son, please explain what is said, what I should do. They want to learn. So this profile is the one that is rating, because there is one factor, what made me happy, and one is I learned. And this profile is the one who is always happy if they learned. So if you recognize that this is a trier, take their computer in use, explain what you do, and they will love it. Prioritizer, they have the technical skills, but it's not in their job description. It's your task to fix things. Speed, speed, speed. They don't care about anything else than speed. But these are something, there is an ebook about this, and I love this way of working and these profiles, so I could talk about them about 2 hours if possible. Again, I want to kind of embrace the thing that survey is only one part of doing employee experience in your organization. You have to get enough data, and that's the only role of the survey itself. What you should be concentrating when you are thinking about this is not to design different kind of surveys, but how you will really use that data. And one thing, for me, one of the most important is to get the agents involved and give that feedback to them to change their attitude to be more end-user centric. Then be transparent. Have that kind of analytics that we have in our tool openly available all the time, not monthly report. That is already old when it's on the tables. But people can really see the situation exactly today. One of our customers did a very weird thing. They did send our analytics to all of their 6,000 end users, just to prove that this is something they are open with and they want to follow it up. We typically don't recommend to do that, and I don't think how many people from that 6,000 really entered to the solution, but they wanted to show to everybody that yes, they are now more interested in their customers' lives, not only their own. Benchmark information will help you to prove to your business units that how you are doing, because it's so common situation in organizations that everybody's thinking that our service is crap. We all know, but we are not able to do anything. Sometimes we hear that some people are really scared to collect the information because it will be so bad. But now I would recommend that you have to realize that they already have that bad experience, even though if you don't measure. It is better to understand where the bad experience is, and it is not in every case. You can defend your services also with the data if you have enough of it. And then, again, transparency. I think I have used that word today enough. So that's the key word I want you to remember after this presentation. Steps to happiness. First, start to measure, start to trust, and then start to find those development action areas that should help you to prove the value of service desk. Then be transparent towards everybody. So not only in services, to other people in IT, to your partners and your customers. The best example of what I have heard and seen in one of our customers, Metso, the CIO is really keen to get everybody happy in the organization. So when he started the new role in Metso, in the CIO, he started every meeting with the dashboard from our tool. So whatever the vendor was doing to them, he showed that what is their value to the whole service desk. Just to make sure that everybody understands that this is what he is after. Of course, it might be in your case that you wouldn't get that support from your CIO in the beginning, but there has been quite interesting stories in this area. Like Reckitt Benckiser, they took our product in use, and the guy who bought it came to sit to me and said that you don't know what happened yesterday. He did get handwritten letter from the CIO thanking him to change the focus on the end users. And that's quite amazing for us at least, that people are really waking up that end user experience is a thing and the future in service desk as well. Third step, so don't start from this one, it's too complicated to start from the agreements, do that in the end. And I think in your case many of you are having your internal service desk, so SLAs are not so big problem maybe for you, but in those cases when you have outsourcing agreement for 5 years and you have set up those SLAs in the beginning and it doesn't really work well. Then I'm happy to tell that we decided with Ryan that we will offer you two nice things today on this event. So we think that this school year is important as all, and we really want to make benchmark for universities. So we give you an offer, 30% is discount of all products if you make the order before this school year starts. So that is something that we would love you to do. And if you happen to be SDI member as well, we are partnered with them, and for SDI members we are offering 3 months free start for our product. So it's a proof of concept kind of thing with SDI customers. And with SDI, the idea there is that SDI will then help you guys, maybe if you are the customer working with them, they will help you to get better scores to use the data. So of course we have our customer success team as well, but we want to have partners like SDI to help our customers to be better in this area. All right, that was what I wanted to say today. And if you want to hear my words again, I can't listen to myself, but we have podcasts now available in a name with Happy Today, which is about how to use the same kind of things. We are going deeper to certain areas about the profiles, for example. There is CIO of Virgin Trace talking about what and how they change their way of working with happiness and so on. Thank you very much.